be Genesis 2, and it changes the whole story because and then it changes how even the days went and how things were created. So yeah, it changes from 1 to 2. But yeah, no, women never came from men. It says it in Genesis 2 that Eve came from the rib, but I'm not quite sure who Eve is, to be honest.
No, that's what I was getting ready to say, that Adam and Eve is explaining the electron and the proton. Eve gene
Right.
versus Adam. Adam is really atom, which is what I was explaining we start off as. And electrons birth protons. That's your feminine and masculine energy.
All
And
together
the thing
in one. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying, like, science is like, I can see the linkage in it, because if you go to Genesis 2 and you see where it says like, oh, we taking the rib out of Adam to create the woman, Eve, and then Eve is like evening, like, if you really want it, like, I don't know. But then when you think about it a little bit further, and then you think about the first 2 children they had, Cain and Abel, and Cain unalived Abel, and then he said, I'm scared of the people that's going to, like, don't let them unalive me. So we talking about, so who would unalive you if there's nobody out there? If you the first people on earth. And where did he find his wife? So that's why I say, like, when I see, like, and I know, and that's like a really basic thought process. I'm gonna be honest, it's a really basic thought process with Genesis. But that's why I say science it aligns with what the word says.
it doesn't, because the word is literally lying, because we've never came from a man. Everybody comes through the, hold on for a second. Everybody comes through the portal of a woman. And if the only people on the planet was Adam and Eve and their children, then how did we all come from that point? Who was
That's
Adam
the
and
point.
Eve?
No,
What was their genetics? What was their DNA? Were these whitey people, or who? Because how could we have all come from them when we're not even genetically or biologically connected to these people even today? So why would God create people that don't biologically or genetically align with the planet and can't take his natural sun and terrestrial radiation?
But that was the point I was trying to make when I said that when you look at the word and you see that, yeah, man doesn't come from women. They woman does not come from man. They were created at the same time. And it says it in Genesis 1 and 26. And then when you go a little bit further in Genesis 2, it says that women came from the rib. But then you go to Genesis 5, and that's after the Cain and Abel story. So then who were the people? If Adam and Eve were the first 2 people on the earth, if they were the first 2, and Cain and Abel were their first 2 children, it does say that they had children after, but that was after Cain was put outside of the garden. They were already outside the garden. So he got put outside. Like, it's like, I guess 3 places. I don't know. But it's like, who would have been his wife? What people would he have been scared of? So when you look back at Genesis 1, it kind of makes sense when you read it all together. I'm just saying science.
Well, I'm saying that it's allegorical. That's what I'm saying. So the fact that they were created at the same time is what I'm saying. Protons and electrons are one. They are an atom. An atom means one that cannot be split, right? So when you're talking about Adam coming from, or Eve coming from Adam, again, that's what I'm talking about, parthenogenesis, right? Being able to extract the sperm-like fluid from the bone marrow to stimulate the Bartholin gland to kickstart the process of asexual reproduction, which is a prokaryotic function. So I got you with that. It's allegorical and explains it, but there's still several other characters, people, events that did not naturally take place.
And that's why that's the
Hold
only
on, my
reason
sister.
why.
Can I like
Go ahead.
let me respond to you, and then I'll get to the next guest. There's several other allegories, even when we're talking about follow me and I will make you fishers of men. That's actually how P3 that's actually how they talk about children. They communicate when they're talking about little boys, they say that they're fishing. All right. So this is what I'm talking about with Pindar, because God, Pindar, Moloch, Jesus, Satan, God, Zeus, Enki and Enlil, Gilgamesh is all talking about the same story. There's just the name changing. So the thing is that the Ish god is the Ithkus that you see in fishing for men. Okay, so I got you. It's allegory. It's metaphors, or however you want to put it, but it's just not what, you know what I'm saying. If it's not telling us what actually took place, then it really is a lie. It's a conflated lie, or conflating the truth is a lie to me, right? So the thing is that these people don't come from us, and we don't create them, and they don't create us. So evolution, the biggest lie ever told. How do you feel about the prompt using science, Ghost Machine?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, so there's a bunch of it's incomplete, but there's a bunch of proof for evolution. Like a lot. There's bones in the underground, right? So now let me ask you something. So you think the Bible is historically correct? Is that what you're saying? That's the creation story?
What are you? No, I'm not saying that. That's somebody else I'm talking to on the panel. That's her stance. So you're saying that there are bones and fossil records. What
No,
bones? What fossil?
I wanted to
Don't
get I
over.
wanted to get to the
Look, okay, I'm gonna tell you. Do not over talk me. The next person over talk me, I'm gonna just take you off the live. I'm tired of it. All right. So the thing is, answer my question. You said bones and you brought up fossil records. Explain which fossil records you're talking about and bones of which organism. You're on mute.
Listen. I wanted to talk about the Bible, okay?
And the live is not about the Bible. I'm having respect because that's another sister. I'm not gonna have that same shit with y'all though. I don't even want to talk about that shit, really. It's out of respect for her, because that's my reflection. When it's y'all, I'm not here to talk about the fucking Bible. I don't give a fuck. How did you get on the planet? That's what the live is about. How did haploids turn into diploid cells of another species? Right? How did so-called humans, y'all, get on the planet? How did cats get on the planet? How did dogs get on the planet? Right? Because I can tell you how wolves got here. I can tell you how elephants got here. I can tell you how prokaryotic birds, tropical birds got here. These other organisms, how did they get here? That's what the prompt is about. So let's reset the space. All right, Jason. Evolution, the biggest lie ever told. How do you feel about the prompt using science?
I am against it. I am a molecular and cell biologist. I've studied evolutionary biology, and there's more than enough evidence to concede to the fact that evolution is very much a real thing.
Okay, explain the base premise for me, please.
It's the idea that any species or living organism adapts to its environment. Genes are passed on, mutations are passed on, and traits are passed on. Whether they allow the progeny to survive better or worse is the fundamental basis behind the continuance or the continued change in a species genetics, and therefore genotype and phenotype.
Okay, I heard you talk about adaptation, mutation, all these different things, right? But you're a microbiologist, right? And you know that there are two different cellular form types for all life forms on the planet. So which cell are you talking about?
All of them.
So all cells mutate naturally?
Yeah, because all cells that contain genes mutate naturally, yeah.
And most
If you have
mutations
genes, you
happen
mutate.
because of UV radiation, right?
That's one way in which a gene mutates.
Hold on. Let me ask you the
Also,
question again. Most mutations happen
No.
because of the sun, correct?
No.
Okay, what's the other reasons?
Cellular replication.
And what is the reason? So when it comes to recessive and allelic genes, right? An excessive amount of recessive genes is what will cause genes to mutate because they're unable
No.
to make. Look, if you overtalk me one more time, I'm gonna take you off. All right. I'm asking you a question, so you can't be responding when I haven't asked you the question. So again, when it comes to recessive DNA and traits and genes, right? They are unable to make copies of themselves because it is not dominant. They're not 100% of anything when it comes to their embryonic origin. So which organisms, which cells are you talking about? Now, to be honest, we got to get specific on which mutations. Are we talking about SCC? What are we talking about? 1P36, TP53, like what mutation? Because most mutations happen because of the sun. Even when we talk about SLOS phenotype happens because of a issue with cholesterol, but that still links back to the sun. You're on mute.
Your recessive gene example is very incorrect. Recessive genes are able to be passed on. They replicate as much as any dominant gene. It's the fact that they're recessive that they're not displayed in the phenotype. So that's a non-thing as it pertains to evolution. In terms of mutations happen randomly for whatever cause. It could be as a result of a carcinogenic agent, like certain chemicals. It is definitely as a result of UV rays. It's also as a result of mistakes during cellular replication when cells split. And we do have...
Go ahead. Or something happened to your mic because I can't hear you no more. Can y'all hear him?
You were responding, so I stopped to allow you to respond.
Yeah, because you told me I was wrong, and then you just explained the same thing I just said. You said that there was an issue in the cell division process, and that's what I said. They're unable to make copies of themselves. How do cells replicate? Through binary fission, right? Through binary fission. So that is how cells replicate, is through binary fission. So in that splitting process, they are unable to do that, right? You told me I was wrong, but you just explained it. I got you. So let me ask you the base premise. Hold on for a second. Let me ask you the base premise of evolution, which is how haploids turn into diploids of another species. When have we ever seen in nature an organism on a cellular level turn into a different organism, a different cell, based off of its environment, based off of natural selection, based off of endosymbiosis? How do you turn into a different organism child? This organ, we gotta be specific on what we're talking about. That's why I'm telling you that the two cellular form types that all life forms fall under do not replicate the same. Eukaryotes reproduce sexually. Prokaryotes reproduce asexually. So who are you talking about?
All of them. They can both evolve in evolution irrespective of whether they're haploid or diploid. You also did mention earlier that recessive genes do not replicate. That is what I'm saying that you were wrong about. Recessive genes do replicate. It's got nothing to do with recessive or dominant.
You did say that.
I didn't say that. I said that they are unable to make copies of themselves. And you said, hold on for a second. I said that these genes are able to make a copy of themselves. You said during the splitting process, that's where the mutation occurs. How do cells replicate? Isn't it through binary fission? So if they can't properly make a copy, that means that they didn't properly split. I don't have to use the same fucking words as you.
They did. Right? They can properly split without having created identical copies of their genome. It's a massive point behind evolution, is the fact that during replication, mistakes can be made. That is one of the fundamental bases of evolution. What are your expertise in this field?
So the thing is, this is 5th grade science, prokaryotes and eukaryotes.
I know.
We're talking about,
I know.
all right, thanks for fucking playing. I'm not finna do that over talking and shit. 5th grade science is prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes have a single embryological origin. All of their genetic material comes from one origin. That means that when they split, when they undergo vertical gene transfer using binary fission, that they will make a copy of themselves. Evolution is talking about how all life forms on the planet were prokaryotic, vertical gene transfer, and that so-called humans are a horizontally genetic transferable species. So if the only fucking organisms on this planet only make copies of themselves, how did you come about when you need genetic material from other organisms to be here? If the only organisms only make copies, cheetahs make copies, elephants make copies, wolves make copies. You see what I'm saying? Our people make copies of themselves on a biological level. How did you get here if you need everybody else's copy when they only make copies of themselves? So you're talking about what's your expertise? You don't need an expertise for 5th grade science, bro. Science is explaining the functionality. How do the cells replicate? One does it through asexually, one does it asexually, one does it sexually. How are they connected if they don't reproduce on a cellular level the same? So Jesse, without over talking me, evolution, the biggest lie ever told. How do you feel about the prompt using science? And please don't try to piggyback off of the next man, because that's why you came up here.
All right, relax. You have absolutely no idea how it works, just so you know.
Answer my question. How do we go from
I don't talk
diploids?
to retards.
Okay, so then why did you request up F1 in the chat, dummy? What the fuck would you request up for if you didn't want to talk to me? Under the, like, see, you gotta be out your mind, man. Why? Nigga requested up on my live, literally talking about I don't talk. Then don't request up. It's as simple as that. And the thing is, Jason, you're saying you're quite literally so ignorant on what evolution is, but I'm not. I'm not, because haploids turn into diploids of the same species. Haploids turn into diploids of the same species. That's what evolution is talking about. Prokaryotes were the only life forms on the planet until more eukaryotes came into the process of so-called evolution. So let's take a look at evolution and let's talk about the endosymbiotic theory. All right, prokaryotes do not engulf one another to create eukaryotic cells. Synthetic prokaryotes do, but natural prokaryotes do not do that. They come together to literally share genetic information, and they will still split through binary fission because that's how they replicate themselves. They're never going to engulf something else to create a different species. That's basically saying, and I don't eat meat, but if I eat a burger, I will turn into a cow. Engulf means to swallow in science, doesn't it? So if I eat a piece of chicken, now I'm a chicken. You know how long so-called black people been eating chicken, and we've never mutated into that shit. We've never changed into any of these animals that y'all are talking about through an engulfment, right? So I'm not ignorant, all right? You may be, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like, your scientist, Dr. Susanna Herculano, literally proved that y'all are not even as smart as you think you are, because she debunked the 100 billion neuron theory. You're talking about, well, what's your expertise? All science is studying me. All science is studying my planet and the organisms that naturally align with this planet. You're studying me. Chemistry goes back to Kemet, which is the study of the black dot. That goes back to Imhotep, which was the first document in Multigenius. Everything that you think you're trying to come in here and walk down, my brother, my son already talked about that and wrote it in the hardest stone known to man. Like, y'all be trying to act like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You can't take the sun. So let's talk about that. Why are you undergoing mutations is something as natural as the sun? Why do you wear sunscreen? Why do you wear sunshades? Why do you wear hats? Why do you get sunburned? Don't tell me that I'm ignorant when we can both go stand out in the sun for 8 to 12 hours in a day and test it that way and see who will come out on top. Fuck this little shit that y'all on. Let's do the sun test, 8 to 12 hours. I can take a room, matter of fact, you can have my bottle of water. I don't need it because I store water great. I don't eat meat. I don't eat processed food, sugars, or none of that. I walked, what was it, like, first of all, I can walk 5 hours without getting tired and not even needing water. Y'all share DNA with plants like celery, like stalk-like plants, because you're unable to fucking store water. So let's test it in the sun, because that's what evolution is talking about, right? How genes mutate because of the sun. Let's see what the fuck you turn into after 8 hours. Being that it takes you, 24 to 36 hours for you to regenerate your cells? It takes my cells 20 minutes. And it takes you a whole day and a half. I seen a YT man the other day. It was 85 degrees and cloudy. It had rained the day before and he was sunburnt. Bad, brown, peeling, brown reddish skin. I'm like, the sun not even out. He's still recovering from 2 days ago. That's why he like that. Why don't I see any of my people get sunburnt? Questions that we need answers for. Questions that y'all niggas talking about. Do you know what T-dimer is? Do you know what the sun is? Do you know what biosynthesization is? Do you know the differences in our integumentary system? Do you know the difference in our DNA and our genetics? Do you know the biological and the biochemical differences between me and you? Because we can see it expressed on a phenotypic level. He said not only the sun. We already debunked that little shit she was talking about with the whole replication of the cell. That's because y'all are not 100% of anything. So on a cellular level, when you go to make replications, your women are unable to do that. That's the reason why genetic mutations affect y'all. They don't affect us the same way. They do not. They do not. You can see something that is present at birth, but what's the cause of it though? What is the reason for it though? How is it affecting us differently on a cellular level? Because we can look at acquired hypertrichosis and then we can look at congenital hypertrichosis. Those are two different things. One is having a so-called werewolf syndrome, so-called, right, as a byproduct of something unnatural taking place to them. Congenital hypertrichosis is because of your DNA and the fact that you share genetic material with fucking animals. A neuropediatric, neuropediatrics, but a neuropediatric doctor, I'm getting tongue-tied. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They're the ones that is responsible for cutting your vestigial tails that y'all are still being born with. We've never seen so-called black people be born with fucking tails. That's only y'all. That's only y'all. That is a mutation that affects only y'all. We've never been on all fours. We've always been bipedal. You haven't, though. And the hardest stone known to man is depicting you being on all fours with the same hypertrichosis I'm talking about. Being on a leash. You're the original so-called slave. You were created to literally oppress us. That's why you can't stand me. That's why you look at us funny and you have a problem with us, and why you're equally obsessed and you so-called schmate us at the same time. You can't stand us and love us at the same time because your genetics is confused. They don't know if they want to fucking love us or unalive us. They don't know if they want to eat us or hug us. Y'all don't know what the fuck y'all want to do because there's incomplete dominant genetics. You're not 100% of anything. Then we see that the same animals that y'all share DNA with in nature, they fight each other. They grape each other. They perform cannibalism. They do all the things that y'all do to each other. Scientists are documenting a 218-year WAR between apes. Oh, we're all great apes. No, we not. No, we not. Y'all gotta look. You asking me to show you the data. Now he talking about show it to me. Look, go stand in the mirror and look at that. The fuck you talking about? Show me the data. Go stand in. Go stand in the. Look, the stone is that you can look at the Sumerian text. If that's what you're talking about, the Sumerian text, you can go look that up. Go look at Dr. David Reach's work. Go look and see what Danielle Silverman and Dr. John Biggerstaff is saying. Go look and see what Dr. Ella Al-Shamaha is saying. Study Dr. Richard King's work. See what Edward Bruce Bynum is saying about neuromelanin and how it's synonymous to us and not you. See what Dr. T. Owens Moore is saying and Dr. N.C. Brown. See what Dr. Jewel Pookrum was talking about. See what Dr. Carol Barnes was talking about. Who else? I feel like Dr. Layla Africa and Dr. Delbert Blair, what they was talking about. And I just gave you a conglomeration of Dravidian scientists, so-called BLK scientists, so-called Mexican scientists, or whatever the fuck she is. And let's see, BLK, Dravidian, YT, yeah. And whatever the so-called Mexican or Cubano lady that I'm talking about. All of us is saying that we not the same. So don't think this shit is about gracism. All of us is saying that we is not the same as each other. Talking about show me the data. Go stand in the mirror. Go stand in the sun. You talking about some now we're using anecdotal evidence. No, we're not. I'm sitting next to Dr. Amos N. Wilson. You hear that? You hear the books? You hear you hear the pages right there? Dr. Amos N. Wilson. The developmental psychology of the black child is substantially different than any other person, any other child on the planet. We psychologically develop at a different speed because we don't stem from the same embryonic origin. What is you talking about? You hear that? Now, that's a 600-page book. Would you like for me to read you a couple of excerpts out of it? Would you like for me to go get the textbooks that's in the next room? What? You talking about OMG, you have pages. OMG, you have animal DNA. Fuck. Y'all gotta stop playing with me. Y'all gotta stop playing with me, man. Y'all gotta stop playing. Because, let me see. Looking for, I think it's like page 12. I can't really find it right now. You see what I'm saying? Oh, I'm in the introduction. My bad. Mental over physical life history, overcrowded, maternal hypothyroidism, Mongolianism. See, we can talk about, because these things that I'm naming is not genetic mutations. These are disorders. All right, so this is what affect us. Endocrine disorders. Microcephaly. You see what I'm saying? Mongolianism is not a mutation. That is a disorder. That's what is affecting us. You see what I'm saying? And that is a byproduct of us. This whole book is talking about how the environment that these people have created for us literally affects our anatomy and our biology. And as a microbiologist, you should know about synthetic biology and the creation of eukaryotic environments. This is a eukaryotic environment. Yes, it's built in forest, but it's not supposed to be light poles. It's not supposed to be 5G towers that affect all life forms on a cellular level. Now we have to adapt. But who's undergoing the mutations? You. All right. So look, 2 hours, 34 minutes in. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to let this other man up here because I already talked to him before. Let's see. Who is this? I know about it all. I know about it all. That's how I know you're saying you know about it all. But it's not BS. So you're calling the doctor a liar? You calling all the doctors that I just named you liars? That's cognitive dissonance and Stockholm syndrome and psychosis. People that struggle with psychosis are said to be psychotic. Psychosis is not a mental disorder. It's only a mental loop that you can pull yourself out of. All right, who is this? Rack.
Yeah.
Back to evolution, the biggest lie ever told. Go ahead and explain how you feel about the prompt using science.
To be honest, I just kind of came up here to listen in. I agree. I don't believe in evolution.
Oh, you came up here to listen?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean
I
by
don't
you
believe
came
in
up here
it.
to listen?
I just listening in, just hearing the dialect and stuff like that. That's all it was.
Oh, you wanted to request up for that?
I mean, if somebody else had came up, I could, kind of come back to their point because I don't have nothing. I believe evolution is a lie. I don't believe in evolution either.
Okay, why? Why do you believe that evolution is a lie or that it's not true?
That evolution is not true. I mean, just look. Well, mainly because I believe that in today's world we'll still be evolving according to evolution or whatever. If evolution was ever a thing, it doesn't show that that pretty much a lot. And then one thing I had noticed, some people they claim we came from different animals. Some people they strictly believe that we came from monkeys. But to be honest, I don't see how we align with any of the. Maybe with some animal species we have similarities and stuff like that, but not with the ones that they always that they say that we do.
Okay, I got you. Okay, the thing is, Jason, the thing is, you're right. I typically use that for our people. You're right about that. But psychosis and cognitive dissonance is something that you're using. All right. I do these lives all the time. Sometimes my bars or whatever I'm using gets convoluted. But for everything else that I said, so you keep picking and choosing shit. That's how I know I wouldn't have ever been able to have a real genuine conversation with you anyways, because y'all like picking and choosing. If I name 10 organisms, you're just gonna pick at one. If I say three things, you're just gonna pick out one. If I say recessive genes and they don't make copies, you're just gonna say no, they don't. They don't. You just do tit for tat type shit. And you never answer my question. All right. So I got you with that. He's just up here to listen. Primordial. I already know how primordial feel. Tukes. I already know. Anybody else? You know what I'm saying? Anybody else want to come up that disagrees and can actually explain it without over talking me and using science? No, I didn't cause the chaos. You overtalk me. Anybody else that want to come up and talk about the prompt using science? Let's see. Let's get Country Boy out the way, man. Let's get his ass out the way. After Country Boy, I'm heading out. I mean, what did I say? I meant with using science. Country Boy, using science, evolution, the biggest lie ever told. How you feel about the prompt? Or he left. All right. All right. Anybody else? That's the thing. If you talk for 2 hours and 34 minutes straight, sometimes I do 6-hour lives. You don't expect me to misspeak not once? You don't expect me to say maybe the wrong thing or stutter? If you don't like stuttering, don't listen to me because I'm a stutter. What? Brain moving too fast for my tongue. Brain moving too fast for my lips. That don't mean I don't know what I'm talking about, though. All right. So let's see. I think Country Boy wanted to come back up. Let's see. Country Boy, using science, how you feel about the prompt?
Hey, thanks for having me on. I agree with the prompt. Simply from my own personal experience, just being in the environment around me. If you believe in evolution, in my opinion, if you believe in evolution, it should have its own laws and break down how it works. At a base level. Just like everything else does in nature. It would move a certain way. Yet you have spontaneous evolution in some places. You have millions of years of evolution over here, and then you have some places that don't have any. So it's like it picks and chooses where evolution wants to help out. So, and there's no fossil record that I've seen that shows a direct indication that there was some type of transformation over time due to evolution. So yeah, that's my take on it.
You said that I heard you say something about spontaneous generation.
Like a spontaneous evolution, or not spontaneous, but almost like in one generation you'll have dramatic changes, which they call more like kind of like I don't know what they call it. I thought it was called like instant evolution, but I don't know what it's called. At least I've read that there were some cases of it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, spontaneous generation is basically talking about how life comes about from inanimate objects or inanimate life forms because they don't consider everything to be living. Like there's non-living organisms as well, even though I would argue that they're living. But anyways, when it comes to that, spontaneous generation is genetic engineering in this case, though. That's the inanimate aspect, is that it's being introgressed in a petri dish and light has to fuse it or spark it into existence. It's not through natural biogenetic processes where an organism is making has a one embryological origin and makes a copy of itself where all of its DNA and its genetics are dominant, where it has a single set of chromosomes, right? Where we look at eukaryotes, their genetic material comes from multiple origins, multiple places, and they need genetic material from other organisms in order to function. That's really a non-living organism, in my opinion, because you can't sustain and live on your own. You need help from other organisms like these other people, and then things like mosquitoes. Mosquitoes need blood from other organisms in order to have children, right? So we don't all come from the same embryological source, but primordial resonance. Did you want to say something?
Yes, I want to comment on people coming up saying they have a science background or a biology background and that type of thing. Because obviously, whatever backgrounds they have, they don't got the information correct. And what they need to understand is information about all of our true genetic origins, my true genetic origins, their true genetic origins, everybody's true genetic origins. All that information is heavily suppressed. So what they're being taught in their schools, in their colleges, they're not receiving the correct information. You know, they have to go out there and do independent research and independent studies. You know, did they go out there and get 100 different black people from all over the world? Did they get 100 different white people from all over the world? Did they get 100 different ages, from all over the world and individually test all their genetics on a cellular level? In order for them to get the true information. But they're just going off of what they were taught in school and they trust it. And I understand that because I did that in the beginning. I trusted all the stuff I was taught in school, but it just felt uncomfortable, at a certain point. As I got older and started experiencing life, that stuff felt uncomfortable. But I guess maybe they don't want to face what the true genetic origins are. So they don't want the truth. So they don't want to accept it because they don't want to face it. They just want to accept what they were taught,
Yeah, they don't exactly. And the thing is, you do have to challenge it. And they don't like when we challenge things because they just want it to be right. They just want to be animals as long as we're animals too. If we say that they're animals and we're not, they don't like that. But if I have the genetics, if I have the biology, if I have all the science to back that up, and it can be observed no matter who's looking at it, anybody can see this, then how is it pseudoscience? How is it not true? There's several different scientists that are saying that so-called black people and everybody else are not genetically the same. They're not. I don't understand why people don't know that shit. They talk about it every day. The number one question in the world is, how did haploids turn into diploid cells of another species? Scientists want to know, how the fuck did I get on the planet? And a lot of them step down when they find out the truth. A lot of them unalive themselves when they find out the truth. All right, so the thing is like, look, go ahead.
I gotta say, like, maybe they came from eels.
And what would make you say that?
I don't know because I'm not a science person. I do feel like science is catching up with the word of God, but it's all like aligned in a certain way. But I don't know why that just popped in my head. Like maybe they came from eels. Why did that just pop in my head?
Girl.
I don't know.
Eels. Eels are some of the most interesting and mysterious organisms on the planet. They don't even fully understand eels. They don't, because of the whole Bermuda Triangle, how they reproduce and things like that. They can't give you a lot of facts about eels because of how they travel, like in the waters, their anatomy. Because eels have a morphic field around them, and I haven't pinpointed what it is exactly about eels. But them scientists do not have a lot of information about them. It's something about their DNA that they can't wrap their minds around. They don't have the tech for it. Because if you try to sit down and study eels, everything is going to be speculation. They'll give you a few facts about them, but everything is going to be questionable. They're just going to be questioning everything about their anatomy, how they got on the planet, how they reproduce, why they do the things that they do, their behavior. Everything is questioned when it comes to eels. These people couldn't have come from eels, though. They couldn't have.
Well, I'm just saying because they in the water, and this is why I say I go back to the scripture. I know I am not very scientific. I can keep up with what you're saying, but I am not like a science girl. I'll listen, and I can understand and go in that direction as far as understanding. But yeah, the only reason I say that is because I'm talking about, I'm still back in Genesis when it says he separated the waters and then separated the waters from the dry land and the waters from beneath from the waters up above. That's why I say that. That's the only reason, because it says that it was like, well, what's the water underneath? Like, it says dry land from the waters, and then it says the waters from up above and the waters below. And it sounds like that would be the eels. I'm sorry, I had to say it. Had to.
Okay, I got you. I would just say study the eels, look into them more, and you know what I'm saying, study that. I seen somebody was just up here. What's her name? Is it Vanilla Paradise? If you meant to come up, you can request up. Yeah. You can request back up if you meant to come up. It timed out. I didn't take you down. It seemed that the connection had timed out. So if you meant to come up here, come back up. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, the sister said that the UV index is going to be high. Yep, got to be outside. It was by accident. Okay, I got you. All right, y'all. I don't know if anybody else is want to come up. Somebody said the sun is racist. Well, the sun is actually trying to heal all life forms on the planet, and they cells just can't take it. And they're looking at the sun is a recorder. It's a conscious being as well. And when it hits their DNA, they like, you're not supposed to be on the planet. So it's trying to protect everything that is supposed to be here. Right. And that's why the sun is removing their ass, because it's like, you not supposed to be on the planet. You have introgress genetics. You are a disease. And it's meant to purify this radiation that we see is, the scientists are saying, is a gene mutating, germ unaliving, and detoxifying wavelength. So anything that does not align with this planet is going to be removed. If you're eating meat and you're so-called black, it's going to be hard for you to continue as the planet heats up. Get off of the meat, switch to spring water and distilled water, and stop drinking purified water, right? Learn how to distill water, learn how to purify, learn how to tap trees, and learn how to tap the earth. Figure out the water sources around you, figure out some composition, study the water if you can, study molecules and learn about them, study everything. Put the meat down, put the sugar down, put the synthetic processed foods down, and start locking in with your fruit and your veggies. And make sure that the fruit and the veggies that you're eating don't come from a hybridized origin. I'm going to say it again, that they don't come from a hybridized origin. All right. Origin is the key word. Hybridized origin is the key word. Grapefruits are hybridized. Lemons, limes, oranges are hybridized, right? A pomelo is natural to this planet. It is actually the parent fruit to a grapefruit. All right. Pineapples are natural to this planet as far as its origin. Watermelon, seeded crimson watermelons are natural to this planet. And if you're paying attention to the watermelons, they're slowly changing, adapting back to the original state, the so-called mosaic watermelon. You cut the watermelon and you're seeing the swirls in them again because the sun is hitting its DNA and changing it back to how it's actually supposed to be. Now, its genetics are not changing, but it is adapting to what is within the environment, and it's going and that's what's powering it up. Gene mutate, whatever was hindering its genetics is no longer hindering it no more. That's the same thing that's happening to us. Our memory is being unlocked. You're gonna have you should be able to be more mobile, be more agile. You see what I'm saying? You should be able to be in the sun all day, all night. These people are getting sunburned at night because of the UV index, even at night. All right, so feed your anatomy and it's going to be good for you. If you're not, it's going to be very hard for you to transition. It really is. And we're already seeing it. All right, that's not to fearmonger you because it's not about fear, right? This is just about getting on track. All right, so I just wanted to say that to you. Please make sure that you feed your genetics. Key limes are alkaline, but they're hybridized in its nature. When you look at the origin of its seed, it goes back to being hybridized. It is alkaline. Alkalinity shouldn't be the deal breaker, right? There's several hybridized things that are also alkaline. It's just a matter of what's acidic and what's alkaline and what's neutral, right? What's something else? Kale is hybridized. Opt for spearmint over peppermint. You see what I'm saying? And I just say study everything as much as you can, right? Because Dr. Sebi can only do so much. Dr. Napoko can only do so much. I can only do so much. We're talking about all plants, fungi, fruits on the planet. One person can't do that, right? But if you have a question, sit down with this, study its origin, study where it comes from, because there's a Persian lime, and then there's a Persian key lime, and then there's another kind. I can't think of the name. So all key limes are not created equal. So I would just say, figure out which ones are and figure out which ones are not. You see what I'm saying? Even some of Yaki Awaken stuff is kind of compromised a little bit. It's only so much we can do as one, you know what I'm saying, people. But the majority of his stuff is good. The majority of Dr. Sebi's stuff is good, right? The majority of it. Facts. Somebody said, I'm reporting your live. Who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Y'all weird as, I don't need you to tell me that, and you're blocked too. All right, so I'm actually finna head out, y'all. Gratitude for everybody pulling up. Gratitude for everybody sharing their frequency. If you have questions, ask yourself first, all right? If you still need help, then you can reach out. Right? But that's only if you're studying, though, you know? That's only if you're studying. All right? So, yes, gratitude and abundance, my sisters, my brothers, my sisters, any children that's sitting next to their parents and listening. Gratitude to y'all, because this is shutting down for y'all to have your freedom again. This is shutting down for our children. Our children, our baby girls, our women are the most snatched person on this planet. That's about to stop. You see what I'm saying? So unify with yourself. Focus and fixate your mind on high vibrational things. Fixate your mind on gratitude. I was talking to myself about that today. It's easy when you're living in an oppressed, society, when they're trying to oppress everything. You got tariffs. They making the food in the grocery stores high. They shutting down a lot of the schools. They shutting down a lot of these jobs. I think it was Kellogg's that just laid off 450 employees. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so you're going back to nature, and we got to make sure that we lock in with that. I got
one question before you go, because do you not think that, I heard you say go to God with it, go to yourself and talk to yourself, but you don't. So do you believe in God? I guess that's my only question.
I don't believe in a male deity or any type of deity, but I do believe that the so-called black woman holds the chemical key for creation. And that's down to an atomic level.
So you feel like God, if God was a person, God would be a woman? Or God.
If you want to use the word God, the reason why I stay away from God is because God is dogma. It takes us back to the doctrine, and these people called us gods. We didn't call ourselves God. If you look at our petroglyphs, all right.
Yeah.
When we look at the petroglyphs and the hieroglyphs that we left in stone, we called ourselves the natural ones. When these people began to gain consciousness through their enlightenment period and things like that, they were calling us gods. They looked at us as that way. We didn't call ourselves that. That's why I don't call the brothers God, and I don't call the sisters goddess, because that's how they view us. Right? Okay. So facts, Champagne. All right. So gratitude and abundance, y'all, for pulling up.